Jesse, and Ella Hooper here from Killing Heidi. Yeah, we're pretty stoked. We're getting the band back together. 25-year anniversary of our debut album Reflector this year. And doesn't that make you feel young and old, doesn't it really? But we're hitting the road. We tend to mainly do festivals with Killing Heidi over the last 8 years. So we're stepping back into our own headline shows, which is really exciting for us. So yeah, we're doing Adelaide, Perth, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, and we're going to play Reflector in full, which we've never done before, and it's going to be a party.
This is a big deal for us. We're putting on our big girl pants and doing our own headline tour with amazing support acts as well. Siobhan Cochin from WA, she's tearing it up. She's a bit of a bloody rock grunge cowgirl. She's amazing. And Hassel from Melbourne, who's actually someone that Jesse has mentored and taught before in his other side hustle as a wonderful music educator. So we've got some incredible gals opening the show, and Killing Heidi going to be doing Reflector in full for the first time.
Nice. Well, thanks for joining us today. It's a pleasure to speak with you both.
Yeah, mate. Thank you.
No, well, you sort of stole my line off the top there, Jesse, because I was going to say that celebrating the 25th anniversary of the album, you're officially in the old musicians club now. You got a 25th anniversary album.
Oh, finally, I've arrived. I've got the haircut for it, so oh yeah, I feel like I'm a part of it. Yeah, it's been funny. Like we've been doing lots of these festivals, like I mentioned, for the last 8 years in particular, since we reformed, and we always feel like we're the young kid on like a legacy kind of touring act. Like we've been doing Red Hot Summers, and Good Things was amazing to do last year, and a lot of those bands are like Hunters and Collectors, Jimmy Barnes, Ice House. And so we're always like the kids in that pecking order, but we're not kids anymore, obviously. So yeah.
We can pretend. We can pretend.
We can pretend. We can always. I'm still pretending, mate. So you guys can too. Now, the album Reflector was groundbreaking for its time, and it connected with disenfranchised youth all over the world, including myself. But we know what it means to everyone else. What did that album actually mean to you guys?
Oh, thanks, dude. That's first of all, that's amazing to hear, because I think my favorite thing about Killing Heidi is the way that it brought together outsiders and misfits and sort of gave them what they were like, is this band for us? And I'm like, yes, this band is for you. This is like, we were not the cool kids in school. We were not the popular kids. Like we were sort of weird long-haired hippies from up in the hills, and we were never very good at the sports and all of that stuff that really did still hold a fair bit of cachet in high school anyway in the 90s. But that's kind of what Killing Heidi means to me, and why I still love the band and love the project and our fans, and the way that it's become a part of people's journeys, and funnily enough, 25 years later, when you wake up and shit, you're an adult, you still have that teenager inside of you. You still have that kid that sometimes feels out of place or feels frustrated. Your frustrations might be different now. You might be like fighting with your kids or your wife or your husband, or having a crappy day at work. So there's still that Killing Heidi energy you can lean on and just like and let it out.
Your debut album, as that one was, like, did you just put together the 12 songs that you had at the time and put an album out, or was there a deeper thought process to it than that?
Look, it was a bit of a long journey. I mean, everyone sort of saw it as it popped out of nowhere, kind of. I mean, Weir was out for almost a year before the album came out, so there was like a lead time in one sense. And we did have the Triple J Unearthed song in '96, so there was like some awareness of it. But as far as that song's coming together, as soon as we had the Unearthed success in '96, it attracted a few collaborators that we worked with and ended up signing with, that helped us develop the sound, because we were just like an acoustic duo and we wanted to be a band, and we had some people that we played with. But so I reckon we wrote for about 3 years. It would have been 96, 97, 98, 99, maybe even four. And yeah, we had some, the producer was always like working with us with the songs and helping select songs that we thought would be good. And we always had a vision for them becoming more than acoustic duo songs, as the album certainly sounds pretty bombastic. There's only really one or two stripped back songs in there. Look, I think there was probably a lot that didn't make the cut. I can't remember from exactly how many, but I think we probably only recorded one or two that didn't make it. I feel like the vetting of the songs happened in the songwriting process, and only the ones that were kind of selected were the ones that got produced. In fact, I don't think there was any that were fully produced that didn't make the cut from memory. But it was then the recording process was long too. We were both doing high school still, so we were doing weekends, going to Melbourne, and it kind of felt like a bit of a thing of this. Is this ever going to be finished? And then when it was finished, we still had like a year before anything came out. Is anyone going to hear this? Like, we still had this doubt.
It was like torture for kids. You know how like time is even longer when you're young. Every year feels like 3 years. I was like, I think we're getting punked. I think this is not, I think we apparently signed some contract and we've made some album, but it took 3 years in teenage time. Just felt like forever. But there must have been some rhyme and reason to all of that time spent, because bloody hell, when it did start coming out, we knew it was different in a good way.
Most of those songs were personal to you both for different reasons, but which one on the album was the most personal for you, Ella, and then for you, Jessie?
Oh, it's a good question. I haven't prepared for that one, but I actually think it would be one of the softer songs. It might even be Black Sheep, even though that's not your very typical Killing Heidi song musically. Lyrically, I feel like I couldn't tell you hand on heart if it is, but I think it's about our sort of parents breaking up, which happened when we were just pre-teenagers or pre-teens or tweens or whatever. And I never really sang about that much or talked about that much. But now when I listen back to it, I'm like, I think that's about that. So it's quite meaningful. And it's also a nice break from me from screaming.
How about you, Jess?
Look, I mean, my connection with the songs is not necessarily the lyrical content and the story of the songs, because I leave that to Ella, and most of the time I just zone out and focus on the music of it. So if I'm talking about like my own personal connection to my part of it, which is the harmonic, the music, the chords, that kind of style of it. So there's a song called Real People, which I just love playing that song. I still love playing it. I still love hearing it. So I think rhythmically and sonically, that's the one I sort of just love, Yeah, it's quite a heavy kind of riff one. It's nothing too fancy, but I just feel like it's got a real authenticity to the power of it. Yeah.
That would be my second choice too. That would be my number 2.
You can't have it as is. So would you say that the success of Reflector took you by surprise, or were you quietly confident that what you had was worth something?
No, we were so unsure right up until the point where it was on every radio station and every TV thing. It was kind of like, I think most artists and musicians and creatives are still quite insecure and unsure as to like what they're doing. But yeah, it was we were just so excited. Like everything was just one more opportunity, one more thing. It's only now when you look back and you look at the whole volume of successes and like everything that happened, it's like, oh my God, like that was insane. But when you're just doing one thing at a time, it kind of doesn't feel necessarily like, oh my God, this is amazing. We're just like, oh, this is cool. So no, we had no idea it was going to go berserk like that. And it really did felt like we created something we loved and we were super into and we were very proud of. But the connection it's had with people is not us. Like that is just a special connection that people have got to the music, and we just go, aren't we lucky? That we can have created that. But we're not like, I don't think we assume that it's our magic or it's our. I guess we don't own the success of it the way it's connected with people. Yeah.
Yeah. We sort of, I think it's probably a good way to look at it too. Like you deliver this thing, you can deliver this cultural moment or this bunch of songs that means a lot to people, but and you're so lucky to be the delivery person. Yeah, I like that, Jess. I think that's kind of a good way to look at it.
Yeah, definitely. And you were both pretty young still at the time. So do you think the success of that album forced you to grow up quicker than what you might have otherwise?
Well, yes and no. Yes and no. In some ways, being a rocker, like, definitely is a license to be a child for way longer than what they would recommend. But on the other hand, yeah, you do have to grow up and deal with some things that other people never have to deal with, like being known or being recognized or having your personal stuff spoken about or your image critiqued. I mean, yeah, lots of normal people do go through that as well, I'm sure. But so bit of both. I think having a passion keeps you young and keeps you plugged into life, life force energy. And whenever we play a show, you got to quit. If you're getting on that stage and you're not feeling the life force energy of a live show, it's time to stop. Whereas I don't think we've ever hit that point. There's been times where we've wanted to do other things and been a bit sick of being rockers, and so we've done other things, and then whenever we're ready we come back to it. So it still feels pretty sort of vital.
Look, this is probably a little bit deep, guys, but looking back, how do you think that album and those songs shaped you and shaped the people you are today?
Big time.
Yeah, big time. I mean, I think from a professional perspective, it has defined my whole life for sure. So everything I've done since has been with that history of success. So it was very fortunate that everywhere I go, I can say, oh, well, I'm that guy from Killing Heidi, and all of a sudden it opens doors. So we're so lucky to have had that, and Ella's probably got her equivalents in media and solo career and all this stuff that falls off the back of it. So yeah, it's been life changing. And yeah, there's always flip sides to it. There's been lots of weird, dark, scary stuff that happens. Maybe that's just being in the music industry, entertainment industry, or being on the road. There's lots of hard moments, but really when you look at the holistically, it's been an amazing platform for us to do lots of music mentoring, music education. It gives me the credibility to go, well, I know what I'm talking about when I'm trying to impart knowledge on young people that want to be in bands, because I've been doing it since I was 16.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I think it's shaped me too, because in terms of like having a sort of weirdly like being a teenage role model, which I didn't really think about at the time. I mean, I didn't set out to be a role model or like a woman in music or a female front person. That was just like obviously not what I was thinking of when we started the band. It just happened to be a fact. Therefore, that sort of got put on me. But I've like, excuse me, like I've kind of chosen to live into that or live up to that, because that is an important thing, I realize now. And I don't really know who or what I was looking at or looking up to, and to have the kind of the chutzpah to be a teenage female rock and roll front person, I'm kind of like, oh, that was something. And now I see a lot more of that around me, and I see the culture has changed and come so far, and there's so many amazing female rock bands and female artists in even just in our hometown Melbourne alone, just kicking ass all over the world. Makes me proud. And if I can sort of think of myself as somebody who maybe like broke those waves a little, well, that's awesome.
Nice. Now, we mentioned earlier you're going to begin hitting the road to celebrate the 25th anniversary. So the shows are starting in Adelaide on the 20th of June. Then you hit Perth, Brisbane and Sydney, finish in Melbourne on the 28th of June. So what delights have you got in store for us in those shows, guys?
Well, we're going to try for the thing that we have actually never done, and it's going to be interesting playing Reflector from song 1 to song 12. It is like, because as Jess said, we tried to do it at Good Things. We had a few technical issues. It kind of cut our set down a little bit, so we had to drop a few, and it's hard to play a whole album with in the sequence that it is for a listening pleasure on a CD or record. Is very different than live, but we're gonna do it anyway.
Very nice. All right, guys. Well, I've got one thing to get through before I let you go. I've got a new segment I've started called Photo Bomb. So basically, before I chat with you guys, I've trolled through your social media and I've come up with a few photos I want to know some more about. So I've found this one of you guys. Now, how old were you then?
Don't we just look just the same?
Oh my God. I reckon that would have been, I'm going to try and, so how old were we then? I reckon I look like I'm in grade 5. So what would it be, 10 or 11? And Ella would be 8 or 7, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
And that is sitting at the back of our family house up in the Strathbogie Ranges, which we miss dearly and dream about often. probably sitting around with no video games, no internet, no mobile phones, being forced to be creative, which actually sounds amazing these days, doesn't it? Isn't that paradise?
It does.
Very special. Our upbringing is like a big part of our secret to success. So shout out our beautiful mum and dad who are no longer with us. But like, I mean, if that it looks idyllic, and look at this, just shitty haircuts, hand me down clothes. It was nothing fancy, and it was amazing.
Amazing. All right, there's one more we'll get through quickly. I found this photo of you guys on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but I'm guessing you didn't actually win $1 million because you're still out here doing what you're doing.
Oh man, yeah. Look, still, thanks for bringing that up. I managed to forget about that. We managed to screw up a question that, in hindsight, was like, yeah. Anyway,
I think it was my fault.
What was it?
I think I feel like I've got really quite good trivia skills, and I just stuffed up a really easy one. Damn it!
Now, admittedly, it would have been for charity. So, I mean, like it probably would have been retired. But the question was the Yukon. Is the Yukon was it the US, Canada, or there's two other ones? And we said the US, and it was the Canada. And I think if my dad had done the phone a friend, we would have won, but we just went in hot anyway. God, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, painful memories. But we look.
Well, sorry about that. All right, guys, I'll let you go because you got something else on to do. But pleasure speaking with both of you. As the tour starts June the 20th, check it out. There's a new album coming out too with some fresh remixes and stuff on it as well. So I'll see you guys in the Brisbane show.